Hey drone fans, welcome back to another exciting episode of Dung Drones. Today I'll introduce you to the very first drone that I started out with long before I started this channel. It's a very cheap drone, it's the Syma X5SW, and in this video we're going to go through some of the features.
I don't really know what comes next. I'm just doing my best, even though I'm so stressed out. Everything just feels like a test that I fail, so depressed when I can't seem to get out.
Okay guys, so I'm gonna open the box to take a look inside. And as we open the box, we see that we get a couple of things inside. We have the drone on the left here, and we also have the controller on the right. I've had this drone for about 4 years, so I mean I've had it for a while, and it's still in reasonably good condition, I should think. I'm just going to remove this plastic covering. And there we can take a better look at what this thing is all about. So before I get to the drone, let's take a look at this controller for just a second. Look at the size of this thing. This is huge. So this is the controller for the Syma X5SW, and we have our joystick on the left, our joystick on the right. We have a couple buttons here. We have our power button in the middle. We have our antenna in the middle, and we have a couple buttons to the left and also to the right. We'll go deeper into these functions as we go throughout the video. I'm just going to put that back in. And then I want to take this out. Now this guys is the drone. So this is it right here. Fixed wing propellers, and I think these are brushed motors. And in case you don't know what a brushed motor looks like, I can show it to you. This is what a brushed motor looks like. It's not as powerful as the brushless motor, the one that you would find in the Mini SE or the DJI drones. So this motor will run for a little while and then it stops. So depending on how hard you fly and also on how often you fly, it will determine how long your motors last. All right. We also get these propeller guards, and these guards, you would put them on the wing of the quadcopter like this. So you want to kind of push that down, and you'll see a screw in it as well that we can use to fix this in just a little bit firmer. Now there are a couple more things included in this packaging, and we're just going to go through this one by one. So in the next clip I'm going to show you with everything out. So I'm just going to lift this packaging up because I do believe that there are some more goodies right under this thing. So here we go guys, this is the clamp, and this will hold our phone in place once we affix it. So this controller, we slide this on top of the antenna like that, make sure it's nice and firm, and the phone would sit right on top like that, and it's clamped in place with this phone clamp. All right, very nifty accessory. Also get extra propellers. Now this guys is the camera that comes with this drone. If I am remembering correctly, this is a 2 megapixel camera. Not very sharp image, but a decent enough image for those of us who are just getting into this hobby for the first time. We have a little connection point at the end here that we can insert into the drone. And if you take a look at the underside of the drone, you'll see that there's a connection port here, and this camera would pretty much slide in like this. Once you hear that click, you know that it's secure, and then you take this end and you would plug it into this port right here. So there it is guys. Now I'm sure you're wondering where the battery would go on this thing, and if you have been observing, you'd see that there's a hatch right here, just like the Mini SE that we have, but in terms of our battery, it's a whole lot different. So our battery is a 500 milliamp battery, and this is it right here. and it's very easy to attach, just like our camera. What you want to do, you want to take this end, this terminal end here, and you want to take this end of the battery and connect them. Be gentle, because these are metallic pieces and they will break, so you want to be gentle with that. And I'm just going to tuck that inside, trying to be gentle here. There we go. And once that is in, we can just close the hatch like that. Now on the underside of the drone, you're going to need to install the legs as well, and they do come with the packaging. Let me just go off camera here to show you what they look like, and here they are. So we get 4 legs, and each of these legs, they come with a screw right here in the middle that we can use to secure them even more. Personally, I've never ever used the screws before, because I try not to fly too aggressively with this thing. So even if it comes down, it's always in an area where I can get to it relatively easy. Okay, so now I'm going to affix the final leg like so. And now that that is affixed, I'm just gonna get this box out of the way. This is what it looks like, guys, when it is fully assembled. And of course, our controller requires 4 batteries to work. These size batteries, you'll notice that I have 2 inside already. Not a very good idea to leave your batteries in, but for this demo I was flying it earlier, so I took out the 2 of them and I left the other 2 in. So they use 4 of these AA batteries, and once you're finished affixing it, you want to slide this back in like so. And there's a screw that comes with this. I don't really use it, again, because I'm very gentle and careful with this thing. So the screw is in the box. Now this drone is, I would not say very easy to fly. I would say this is the perfect drone to start off with if it is that you're looking to learn the basics and understand the physics of flying drones. So let's power this thing on and see what it can do. Now this drone works with a phone or a tablet as the display. And so for this exercise, I'm not going to be using a phone or a tablet to connect to this. I'm just going to be showing you, the basics in terms of how to start this thing up or to power the motors on. Okay guys, so now we're going to power this thing on, and to do that, you want to slide the power button up in the middle. And before I do that, let me just say that the left joystick should be in the center position, and this is so that we don't get any surprises when we're launching this thing. Alright, so let's power the controller on. And as we do that, you'll see some very interesting things showing up on our display. We'll talk more about that later on in the video, but for now, we just want to hear this thing powered on. So now that the controller is on, I can move that aside, and I can pick up the drone. And if we, let me just push this back in. If we look on the underside, you'll see that there's a red button there, and it says off or on. So we're going to power this thing on by sliding that, and once we do that, you'll notice that we have these lights flashing, which means that it is in pairing mode. All right, so let me just set that down. And here's the cool part about this, guys. You cannot just fly it like that. There's a sequence that you have to do. So you push the joystick up like that and then down like that. So now the motors are armed. So if I was to push up on the left joystick, it would start spinning. Very loud, as you can tell. The brush motors are not as quiet as your brushless motors, so it's going to be a lot louder. Now, some time ago while I was flying this, I crashed, and I think one of the propellers got damaged, and so it is unable to take off. But what I will do, I'm going to put some footage of it while it was flying and while it was flying. Whoops. Okay guys, so if we take a closer look at the display on this controller, we see some graphic on the screen here. It's not as fancy as your DJI models, so it's very simplistic in design. Now let's take a look at what each of these symbols could mean. Now if I push up on my left joystick, you'll see that as the higher I go with the stick, is the more it reads out on this display here. So it's a readout of the amount of throttle that I'm giving the drone, and as I pull it back down, it decreases just the same. Now you see your signal bar at the top, that's the signal strength. You have your battery indicator to the upper right, and of course these little marks along the edge here would represent our trim. Now you'll remember earlier in the video I was talking about trim, that is if the drone needs to be adjusted, you know, if it's taking off and it's going in a particular direction and you want to have it more centered, then you use your trim buttons. And if I'm to push against this, you'll see that at the bottom here there are some dots being added, and this is a representation of the trim that we are putting onto the drone. So what that means is that if I am to take off with the drone, there's going to be a lot of thrust going this way, because this is what this bar represents. And as for this bar, it's talking about the upward movement of the drone. All right, that's the vertical movement of the drone, if you will. So we're now looking at the other part of this graphic, and if we look closer, we see this cross in the middle. Now this cross speaks to our right joystick. Our right joystick, as you remember, will control the drone's roll and pitch. So if I am to push forward, you'll see that there's some dots or some bars being highlighted there, and if I release and allow it to be centered, it shows that the joystick is now in its centered position. So this square, this black square in the middle, represents the position of the joystick. Now if I have to push right, you see how it's getting lit up. If I am to go left, if I am to go backwards, it's all lighting up. Now quite similarly with our left joystick, if I am to push up and maybe yaw to the left, you're going to see the bars highlighting now as we go around in the circle. Or if I am to yaw to the right, see that it's lighting up. Now if we continue, we see that there are some more bars right below here, and we have bars going along the side here. Now these bars represent the amount of trim that we would put on this particular side. So if the drone is, for example, launching, and you realize that every time when it's launching it's drifting forward, what you want to do is you want to trim the drone so that when it's launching, there is some amount of thrust going backwards instead of going forward. So there's more thrust going backwards to counter that tendency to go forward. So that's the purpose of the trim. We can trim the roll. So let's say if we're taking off and the drone keeps going that way, we can trim it to the left so that when it takes off, it's kind of balanced out in that way. Now these two buttons at the top here are very special as well. If I'm to tap this, it will adjust our speed. So if I tap this, it goes to L, and our speed is represented right here with that little letter there. And if I tap it again, it's going to go to H for high. So it has two speeds, low and high. Okay guys, now the button on the right hand side is even more special, because this button allows us to do a stunt, and this is called 3D inversion. So the drone will flip over and it will come back to its starting position depending on which direction you sway that right joystick. So it can flip to the side, or it can flip frontwards or backwards, which is really awesome. Okay guys, to charge the battery that comes with this drone, which is a 500 milliamp battery, we get this charging cable, and in the instruction it says that it is recommended that we connect it to a laptop as the power source. So it's not wise to connect it directly to the wall to charge it, but rather to use the laptop as our charging source. Now this is the connective point of our connection, and the receiving end of the battery is this. So we want to slide this in like that, and then once that connects, we should see a light, a red light, and you should be able to see it right here. It's a faint red light. And once that light is on, it means that the battery is charging, and we leave that in until that light disappears. So that's the way we charge this battery. In the next video, I'll walk you through the app that I had to use with this drone, and you'll get to take a look at the picture quality of that camera. Like, share, and subscribe, guys, and if you want to see more about this drone, remember to comment down below. Until then, it's Dung Drones over and out. There it is.